Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be planning for the week of Valentine's Day, February 14th through the 20th, and I'm using a kit from Two Lil Bees called Sweet Valentine. This kit is in rose gold foil, and I also purchased the add-on sheets. For my date cover deco, I decided to keep it simple, and I used the floral trims from the kit, and I also added some heart garlands from Sadie stickers at the top of the page. I love these garlands because they are already made for you and very easy to put on. The date dots that I used are from Sadie stickers as well. And in my washi weekend banner, I used some of the longer flags from the kit, as well as some simple gilded washi and one from Hello Petite paper. This week was actually pretty tough for me and my family. I figured I should probably get into that story while I have some time while I'm setting up, because it is kind of a long one and I don't want the day by day to be too long. But on this Friday, I had made the boys dinner. They ate their dinner and then I started making mine and my husband's. I put some broccoli in the oven and then I started making the rest of our dinner. My husband was actually in the kitchen with me also, and the boys were done eating, so they went to go play on the couch, and they were doing some kind of game or race, and Benny was walking from the couch onto like the ottoman next to the couch, and then next to that was a guitar amp, and the guitar amp is heavy on one side and in the back it's really light and empty. So he had stepped onto the guitar amp and it slipped under him. He ended up hitting his forehead on the corner of the guitar amp, and right away we knew that we had to take him to urgent care. He was screaming at the time and just crying in so much pain. And I don't even remember if my husband and I said anything to each other. We just knew right away that we had to go. And this was our first experience with the ER or urgent care. So it was pretty scary for all of us, I would say. Initially, it was just so scary because we didn't know what to do. We didn't know if we were doing the right thing or, if this was the right choice. But we were pretty certain that we should at least go and get him checked out. And especially because he hit his head, we wanted to make sure that that was okay. But he pretty much had like a big gash above his eyebrow on his forehead. And it was pretty deep. But I was holding Benny and somehow I managed to turn off the oven, and I grabbed their waters and some shoes, and we just got into the car and headed over there. I think by the time we were at the parking lot of urgent care, I felt a lot better about it, because at that point Benny had calmed down and he was able to answer simple questions, his favorite color and how old he was and things like that. So I felt a lot better about it, but it was still just scary not knowing how much pain he was going to be in. And I knew that probably only one of us would be able to go, so my husband went with Benny and I stayed with PJ in the car. And there was definitely a lot of waiting. By the time we had gotten there, a lot of the bleeding had slowed down, so I don't think it was a huge emergency at that point, and it was just a lot of waiting. So I had a lot of time with PJ to talk through everything, talk through his feelings, and just reassure him that it wasn't his fault, it was an accident. And I think both my husband and I just really wanted to make this as healthy of an experience as we could, and just talk through everything and let them know that we're here for them and that we can answer any questions they have and let them know how we're feeling. So it was a lot of talking, a lot of FaceTime. We spent pretty much the whole time, like maybe after the first hour, the rest of the time we were on a video call, and it felt like all four of us were in the room together. And I'm glad that we could keep Benny comfortable. He was definitely super brave and trying to stay positive. I could tell that he was a little scared at first, and then the longer we were on FaceTime, he was really happy and just couldn't wait to be able to go home. I am kind of relieved that I unintentionally waited so long to do this spread, because it was actually really hard to even look at that day and that evening and put it on paper. I put down a day extender, and my initial thought was just to leave it blank on the inside and deal with it later, but I did go back and write in the boxes and finish the spread out. But this was definitely a tough time for us. It was just such a scary, traumatic evening, but thankfully he is healed and everything turned out well. And even me knowing that, it's still hard for me to look back on this weekend, but I will get more into it when I get into the day by day. In my sidebar, everything is from the kit aside from the February script, which is from the Glitter Mama. I will have all the shops that I use in the spread linked in the description box, but if you have any questions, please leave me a comment and I'll be happy to answer. Getting into the week, on Monday, it was Valentine's Day, and PJ actually did not have school this day, which was nice. For some reason, President's Day was split out in 2 different weeks, so Lincoln and Washington each had their own day. We had this Monday off and then the next Monday. But the Happy Valentine's Day script that I used is from the Glitter Mama, and I layered that on top of 2 of the hearts from the kit, as well as some florals, and I was so excited that I used the Two Lil Bees kit for Valentine's Day because I do love layering those hearts together. Below that, I used some deco from the kit to mark giving the boys their Valentine's Day gifts. Then I used a smaller flag and a no school script from Station Stickers. Then I wanted to mark Coffee Monday. I used a script from JK Creates Co. Below that, I marked that we said bye to my sister. And the previous weekend, she had come to visit to mainly help my cousin with the baby shower that was coming up. So this day, I think they were planning to leave Sunday, but they were really tired, so they decided to wait until Monday afternoon. The last thing that I marked this day was couch time with my husband. The icon that I use is from Fox and Cactus, and I ended out this day with my full box. After the spread was finished, I went back in and added some heart deco and some foiled headers. So on this full box, I actually added a scallop heart header from Sadie Stickers. On Tuesday, I started with a full box. I started by writing that Benny and my husband went on a grocery run. PJ was back at school, so my husband took Benny. Below that, I layered some boxes and I wrote that I went through the boys' toys to pick some toys for them to donate. This is something that I try to do regularly because they are a bit hesitant at times to let go of some of their toys, even if they haven't played with them at all. So I've noticed that Benny is much more willing to get rid of toys that he knows he doesn't play with. At this point, he mainly cares about cars. He has tons of cars and he wants all of them so that he can rotate through them. But PJ definitely has a hard time letting go of toys because he knows that in the past he had such a great time with them and he figured he might want to one day. But I also noticed that over time he is more willing. Once we go through a certain toy, once I bring it up over and over, he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I don't really need that. But I think this day was pretty successful in terms of getting toys together to donate. In the quarter box, I wrote that I taught PJ about density. I used a sticker from Wonton in a Million. I had taken the boys outside after school, and in their Valentine gifts, they had these, I think they're called liquid bubble timers. They're kind of like an hourglass, but instead of the sand, it has liquid and 2 different colored oils that when you flip it over, it kind of creates little bubbles of the colored oil until it sinks to the bottom. PJ was asking me questions about how it worked and what was happening, so I taught him about density and he was kind of excited to learn that new word. And then when my husband came home, he decided to teach my husband everything he learned about density and about those toys that they had received. Then I marked taking a nap. I love using these slippers from White Deer Stationery for that. And at the bottom of this day, I marked some Happy Mail I had received from Odd Loop. I believe this was the Encanto kit that I had ordered. I was really excited to get that kit, especially because we are planning to have an Encanto themed birthday party, so I will be able to use it for that week. On Wednesday, I didn't have as much to mark this day, so I wanted to take up some space. And when I'm doing these spreads, I do try to separate out things that I know are going to be on one side of the spread. I try to have something similar on this side. So since it was Wednesday, this was kind of my last day to really use the things, or at least split up the things that I knew I'd want to use on both sides. So I really looked through my stickers and I realized I had this full box with the girl on it, the girl clip art with the book and the coffee. And if I wanted to use that, I would probably need to use it on Wednesday. So I decided to pair that with a half box that I turned vertically, and I wrote that I was trying to stay positive. I had mentioned that my husband and I were trying to lose weight and just get our eating habits under control. And at this point, I was kind of at a standstill. I was trying to stay positive because I knew that the changes I was making were for the better. It was just gonna take time. So I was feeling down about it, but I was really trying not to. And I decided to add this scallop divider. It's the same one that's on the full box, so I thought it would be fun to pull that into this day also. Then I used a flag and an early dismissal script from Station Stickers. Underneath the full box, I marked filming. I used a planner sticker from the kit and paired that with a camera from Harriet Wright Designs. At the bottom of this day, I marked some Happy Mail that I had received from Sweet Design. I really wanted to use this Happy Mail sticker from Planning Like a Pro. Flipping over to Thursday, I started with a full box. Then I marked taking Jackson to his grooming appointment. I decided to add 2 stickers from White Deer Stationery. One was like a car washing sticker, a bucket of bubbles, and a sponge, and I just covered up the sponge with a paw print. Below that, I marked a cleaning day. The script is from JK Creates Co. Then I wanted to mark some more Happy Mail. I actually received a lot on this day, so I used a bit of a bigger box and paired it with the same envelope icon from the kit. Then I wrote that the boys play outside with cars. We usually spend time outside right after school so PJ can run around, get some energy out before he has to do homework. And I think this was probably the first time where they asked if they can bring some cars outside, and they had so much fun with that. So I was excited to use this truck from White Deer Stationery. Benny loves trucks, so I wanted to purchase that set of stickers for him, but I wasn't exactly sure when I'd be able to use them. At the bottom of this day, I marked editing using a sticker from Panda Bird Design. On Friday, I started by marking my dentist appointment, and this one was to make sure that my retainers were working well and that they fit nicely. So this was officially my final orthodontist type appointment, which was really exciting. Below that, I wrote that my brother and sister came to visit. My sister also had a dentist appointment, and this was the weekend of my cousin's baby shower. Then I added a full box day extender. And inside the day extender is where I kind of put some details of the scary night that we had and taking Benny to urgent care. I decided to use a Band-Aid sticker because he did get a bandage on his forehead. They ended up using skin glue to try to seal it, and they were hoping that that would do the trick instead of stitches. On the outside of the day extender, I did want to mark taking Benny to urgent care. I did write ER instead. And at the bottom of this day, I wrote that I went to bed early with Benny. He was definitely shaken up this evening. Even though he was in good spirits, I could tell he was scared to go to bed and he was just scared of the pain. So I obviously stayed with him that night. Actually, earlier in the evening, my brother and sister went to my parents' house to have dinner. So all of this happened while they weren't there, and I had to let them know that we weren't going to be home because they were planning to come back to play games with the boys right after dinner, but I was keeping them updated while we were there. And by the time we got home, we were all just so tired, and I put PJ to bed, went to bed with Benny. I remember not even having dinner that night. I was just so exhausted, and my husband pointed out that he was so happy I turned off the oven because he did not even think about that at the time. Moving on to the weekend. On Saturday, I started by marking getting ready. I really didn't get too ready this day. I think I straightened my hair a little bit and did my skincare routine, but that was about it. I was planning to fully get ready, put on some makeup, but I really didn't have the energy to do that. So this day was my cousin's baby shower. She also wanted to do her son's birthday party at the same time because her new baby was actually due on the exact same day of her other son's birthday. So she wanted to be able to celebrate early. And when her son was actually turning 1, he was supposed to have a Harry Potter themed party, but it was scheduled for right at the beginning of the pandemic when everything started shutting down. So she had to cancel that party, and she already had it all prepared. All the decorations she ended up saving and using for this party. So it was a Harry Potter themed baby shower and birthday party, and everything turned out really cute. There were so many cute decorations and all of the Harry Potter themed treats, and even the baby shower games were Harry Potter themed. And this was really the first time that my family from my mom's side all got together, and we all tested before the party to make sure that it was safe. But the only downside for my family was that they had rented a bounce house, like it was a castle, and my boys are pretty much the only other kids besides the birthday boy that were there. So it was really hard, but we had to decide that they couldn't go in the bounce house. We didn't want PJ or Benny to go in there just to make it fair. We just said that we decided that we're all going to be a team and we're going to stick together just to support Benny and not make him feel left out, because they both really wanted to do the bounce house, and they asked multiple times throughout the party if they can just go in one time or just sit on it. And my husband and I, even though it was hard, we kept saying no and explaining over and over. But that was the only difficult part about the party. I felt so bad that they couldn't do it, but I just felt like it was not a good idea. We were literally just at urgent care, and I needed to make sure Benny's bandage was going to be safe. They didn't want him to get it wet for the first couple days, so I knew that even him jumping would make him sweat and would make that possibly get infected. I did actually decide to send a message to my entire family group chat about what had happened so that nobody would ask questions to Benny. I just didn't want him to be asked over and over what happened to his head and to feel like everyone was looking at him. So I just explained it on there and let them know, please don't ask him any questions. And I honestly wasn't sure how it was going to be received by my family. I was a little nervous about it, but overall I knew it was the best thing to do for Benny, and surprisingly it went really well. Nobody asked him anything, and everyone was just so happy to see the boys. So it was overall just a really fun night. I did add a day extender to the bottom of this day, and I did want to include the Harry Potter theme of the party into my planner, but I knew it didn't exactly match the whole spread, so I did put it on the inside and wrote that it was a Harry Potter theme. And when we came home that evening, my sister had told us about this game that she recently started playing called Rummy Cube, and she really wanted us to play all together, which is what we were going to play Friday night, but instead we did get to play a game of Rummy Cube this evening. I also watched Love is Blind with my sister. I think I put the boys to bed. I went with Benny until he fell asleep, and I came back out. We watched an episode, and then I went back to bed with Benny. But we thought that there was only one episode available of the season, and it ended up being a bunch of episodes. So I was excited to catch up on the season. On Sunday, I started with a full box, and this morning I made Nutella twists, which is something I had made on Christmas. I made like a Nutella twist tree, and this time I just made them all into twists because they were such a hit for Christmas. Everyone loved them. They just wanted more and more. And I remember actually having a really hard time finding puff pastry. They were always sold out every time I went to the store. So when they were finally in stock, I bought a few boxes and I have them in my freezer just waiting because I did not want to miss out on making these. I thought it would be good to make these when my brother and sister were here so they could help us eat them. This was the day that they were leaving back to Orange County, so I tried to make them right before they left. And we just spent the rest of the day spending time together, so I layered some boxes and used a family time script from Nikki Plus 3. Like I said, I did go back and put in some foiled heart deco throughout the spread afterward. The Sadie Stickers Advent came with a bunch of foiled heart deco and flourishes, so I wanted to try to use those in this week. But that is all I have for this week. Here are all the stickers I have left over. I will say it's a little strange having Valentine's Day on the first day of the week. I feel like once a holiday comes, the next day it's over. There's no more celebrating, so it's strange to have the entire week decorated for Valentine's Day, even though the very first day was really the day that we celebrated. That's why it's always nice to have the holidays towards the weekend or at least the end of the week. But I think in my planner, I like to have heart-themed or Valentine's related spreads pretty much throughout the month, so it doesn't really bother me. But I really love having this very traditional pink heart Valentine kit for this week. My husband isn't really into celebrating Valentine's Day. He even doesn't like celebrating birthdays. He doesn't really understand them. So Valentine's Day is the last thing on his mind in terms of celebrating, but he always goes along with whatever I want to do. I've always loved Valentine's Day and I've loved celebrating it. I am so happy with how this spread turned out. It makes me so happy, and like I said, I was nervous about filming this week, but I think it turned out great, and I'm excited to have these memories in here. Even though some of them are tough, it still has a lot of love, and there were a lot of good things to take away from this week. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.